he was accepting me as something. And one of his pastimes that you didn't know about was to come out onto his porch when he saw me having any difficulty and yell instructions across the street.
I do know this. I don't know why I know this, but I do know this. Yes, that's right.
And if I did anything wrong outside my house within 100 feet, he would appear out of the ground and just be there to point it out to everyone. Car stuck in the snow, car stalling, this or that, back when we had carburetors. And I remember that the grand apex of this was a person had crashed their car and hit 13 cars or something on the block. And they were leaving the scene and they were getting away. I ran out of the house and I tackled them. The person that had the accident was wearing their underwear because they crashed because they were involved in relations, apparently, which caused the accident. So I'm wrestling with the person while the police are coming and people are coming out into the chaos. And I look up as I start to get everything under control, and I see your dad standing on the porch, and he says, "I always suspected." And he turns around and goes back in his house.
He had some zingers, didn't he?
You know,
he was a man of few words, but he could zing them at you.
Yeah, there was wreckage everywhere, and it was more important to him that he come out and deliver his line.
Oh, Dad.
I miss you.
Well, he was somebody who could automatically make people feel at ease. That was his. He had that ability. That's just his persona.
And maybe that's where you don't get it from. No.
I do not get that from him. No.
Well, you know, actually, he was actually a good mix of that because he was actually efficient and empathetic in a way.
He was efficient and empathetic and hard to get to know.
Yeah.
You know, he could make you feel comfortable around him, but you didn't necessarily know where he was coming from.
Oh yeah. He was one of those people that you never got beyond the foyer of his brain house. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a character for sure. And see, I always thought you'd be a photographer or something, and all the stuff you said about medicine is great advice, and none of it's bad because it's a difficult job, and you're dealing with a difficult thing. You're literally dealing with life and death on a daily basis. You're dealing with the stress that everybody tends to dealing with at their jobs, you know, when they're selling siding or whatever they're doing. And then they come home with the angst of the world on their hands. No, there's different levels of it, and you're not actually dealing with life and death in most jobs, and the people that deal with life and death are under much heavier constraints, and these are the professions. There's a bunch of professions like that where, you know, I lump them all into the same thing, that you really only meet people when things are at their worst for them, you know. Yeah, nurses, doctors, cops, EMTs, firemen.
Yeah, you only meet when things are going right. You don't meet people that often. It's when things are going wrong. So, you know, and it's always the worst circumstances, you've got to salvage it. And that's why it is important to be efficient, to be empathetic, to be a professional. People don't want to see somebody doing that profession who's Googling something or looking at their phone or fumbling. They want, you know, they want a leader to take charge of the chaos that they don't understand.
Well, yeah, and at the very least, you should make them feel like you've got a handle on it. And if you don't have a handle on it, know where to find the answers, you know. And
right.
then be surrounded with
with quality professionals. That's another thing. I work with a good group of people who are smart.
You've always spoken highly of the people in your profession. You've always spoken highly of them.
Yeah. I have almost always worked with a good group of people, and I don't know if it's because the profession attracts them or if I've just had the good luck to have the right jobs. But yeah,
and maybe that
I learn something from the people I work with every day, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's always good at a job. I can't imagine. It's every now and then it's good to take a break and let your mind, go back to routine or whatever. But I really feel cheated at the end of the day if I didn't learn something. I don't care if it's about clouds or cars or whatever. I like to learn something new every day.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, and I think part of learning something new, and when I say learn something new, I don't want to learn it necessarily from the digital world. I want to learn it from interacting with another human being.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Because when somebody teaches you something or tells you something, they're conveying part of their passion. They're sharing that with you, and that's really important. You can't. You don't get passion off the digital devices. You just get data regurgitated back at you.
Yeah. That's very true. It's all true. And nothing can replace experience. So listen to the people you work with who have experience. And being relatively new in my current job, I have something to learn from just about everybody I work with.
Well, I mean, not to invoke your legendary rage, but you're kind of an old new nurse, aren't you?
I am. It's not. Yeah, most of the people who are new to my area are young, new grads or very fresh in the profession. Usually, it's not somebody who's been around for a while.
Because it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of.
Well, I don't know how many. I think people get into a groove too, and they don't necessarily want to make that big of a change when they're settled into their profession. I mean, I was very happy in my old job and everything. So sometimes I wonder why I made the change, but I did make the change because I wanted to grow and learn new things and all that.
But it's very often it's somebody at your age says, I want to grow and I want to work harder.
Did you say at my age for a reason? Okay.
I didn't think you heard me.
At my age.
I don't have to speak up.
At my advanced age.
Well, isn't it weird? Don't you feel weird being the age you are? I mean,
you mean in
I know I do. Yeah. I mean,
no. Actually, no. Not until someone points it out to me like you're doing right now. Thank you.
Well, that's because denial is an old friend of yours. I'm trying to drag you back to reality here for a couple minutes. That's the whole point of this thing.
That's not true.
It's just weird that when you and I say this to people who are younger all the time, is that I've been your age. You've never been my age. And that's where you get older and you get more respect for people older than you because there's tricks to getting older. It's not always just handed to you. And there's people that know the tricks, that have the wisdom,
Yeah.
And there's always somebody else.
And you know what? And watch and learn from the young people,
Yeah. I mean, don't
lose touch with that enthusiasm and ability to adapt and all the other stuff that comes with being younger.
Well,
don't lose it.
No, it's good. It's good to be on both spectrums, but I find that I learn more relative to my life going forward from older people. From young people, I learn about the present. Because you really can't learn about the past or the future from young people. You can only learn about the present from older people, you can learn about the past and the future, and we're not always so good with the present. You know, we're not always so good with the present because it's you know, it's too much to keep up with, and I really worry that the generations now, I think we're maturing slower, but we're having mental demands put on us quicker as far as aging, and I don't know where that's going to go.
I mean, I'm not sure. I hear a lot of stuff in the news about millennials and blah, 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 and, you know, how life is different from them. But I work with plenty of nurses in my job now who are in their 20s, early 20s, mid-20s, and I don't think the stuff that I'm hearing in the news applies to them. I don't think it's accurate that the millennials are, what do they say, more self-involved, less community-minded. I don't think any of that is true. I really don't.
But you're picking from a pond that people have already made a decision to be there, and you've got to have a certain personality to want to do it. So they may automatically be excluded.
Well, I don't know. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you know, I work with 50 nurses. Most of them are stellar, but some of them are just, you know, everybody's a regular person. They come in all varieties. So do the people who are so-called millennials. Some of them are really sharp. Some of them are not so much. Some of them are very empathetic. Some of them are very technical. Some of them, it's just like, I don't see any huge difference in people that age and people our age. Except for experience. And aside from that, I don't see any big differences.
Well, it's not only experience, it's wisdom, too.
Well,
you can't rush wisdom.
No, you can't. And, you know, I don't think that we were any different when we were that age. I think, you know, some of that stuff is just a function of being in your 20s.
Right, but there is some of it, but I think it's accelerated, and there's more pressures put on them by the amount. We weren't designed to have access to as much information as we do, to have to remember stuff. We weren't designed to have 8,000 flavors of ice cream, you know. Because mentally that's what's happening. You know, we come from a time when we had 3 flavors of ice cream, and then they put them together and created a 4th. And whoa, and then they went to, you know, having 32 flavors and 33 that would go up. And mentally, you know, you're at 8,000 flavors now, and that poor person's walking up to the counter and they say, "What flavor would you like today?" And they're looking up at 8,000 choices. You know, it's overwhelming. You know, just like we had.
I think that they manage it pretty well. I mean, I think that you deal with what's in front of you, and I think that people that age manage the reality, the technology, and all the flavors pretty well.
I think they do an okay job of it, but I think that because of that, to compensate for what's current, that they've skipped stuff. Like I know so many people into their 30s that don't know how to change a tire on a car. And that's just amazing.
But you know, as a good friend of mine who was a doctor who used to, when I would bring up things like that, would say, "Do they need to? Why would you need to? You don't." For example.
But I would say to him, do they need to know CPR? Why would they need to?
Well, yeah, everybody needs to know CPR. That's not a good example.
No. Based on the effectiveness and everything, they may not. They may have more of a chance of having a flat tire than coming across somebody in that condition, especially with the proliferation of AEDs.
But if you have a flat tire and you call AAA will probably be able to sort you out.
But there's no way you shouldn't be a functional.
If you're dying and you need CPR, somebody should be right there knowing CPR. So that's not
Now, see, the actor show always brings out the real personality. Here we go.
Here we go. Now we're going.
I just
So